Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, and we're here this morning for our Administrative Matters meeting. I call this meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair of the Board of County Commissioners, and with me are my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Jody Shattuck McNally and Commissioner John Kafalis. To my right, we have Deirdre O'Neill from the Clerk's Office helping us with record keeping this morning. We have our County Manager, Lorenda Volker, Tom Clayton from Public Affairs, and Sarah Martin from the Commissioner's Office. So welcome, everyone. We begin with public comment. I don't have anyone signed up, but is there anyone in the audience who wanted to give public comment this morning? Sure, please come forward. And you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Patrick Redmond. I'm a volunteer with the Greg Lopez for Governor Campaign 2026, and I'm here to listen.
Thank you. Wonderful. That was way to stay on time. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to give public comment in the audience? All right, seeing none. Sarah, was there anyone who wanted to call in with public comment?
No, Commissioner.
Okay, we'll close public comment for the morning. We'll remind people that they can reach us via email and by phone, and that you can come not next week for public comment, but the following week we will have public comment at 9 a.m. again. I don't think there's any reason for the commissioners to comment, so we'll move to approval of the minutes. And Commissioner Kafalis, I'll ask you to make that motion.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I move to approve the minutes for the week of November 17th, 2025.
Thank you. There's motion on the table. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to our upcoming schedule review. And we'll let Sarah get seated for that. And we have 2 weeks worth of schedule review, as we will not be meeting next week. So Sarah, we'll let you take that.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for December 1st through the 6th, 2025. On Monday, December 1st from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., the Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Counties, Inc. Foundation Winter Conference at the Westin Westminster at 10600 Westminster Boulevard in Westminster. From 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the North Fort Collins Business Association Holiday Party at the Innisphere Ventures at 320 East Vine Drive in Fort Collins. On Tuesday, December 2nd, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Counties, Inc. Foundation Winter Conference at the Westin Westminster at 10600 Westminster Boulevard in Westminster. On Wednesday, December 3rd, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the State of Estes Park YMCA of the Rockies at 2515 Tunnel Road in Estes Park. From 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Counties, Inc. Foundation Winter Conference at the Westin Westminster at 10600 Westminster Boulevard in Westminster. From 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual regional opioid abatement learning forum. From 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Colorado Regional Emergency Medical and Trauma Services Advisory Council's Forum at Embassy Suites at 4705 Clydesdale Parkway in Loveland. From 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis may attend the Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority Holiday Party at the Silver Grill Cafe at 218 Walnut Street in Fort Collins. From 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual North Interstate 25 Coalition meeting. On Thursday, December 4th, from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will host a community conversation for the Wellington and Waverly communities. Topic will be announced prior to the meeting. This will be at Avuncular Bob's Tea Bar Inn at 3803 West Cleveland Avenue in Wellington. From 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Colorado Regional Emergency Medical and Trauma Services Advisory Council's Forum at the Embassy Suites at 4705 Clydesdale Parkway in Loveland. From 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Colorado Fire Commission Prescribed Fire Subcommittee meeting. From 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Upper Front Range Transportation Planning Region meeting at 10601 West 10th Street in Greeley. From 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Regional Opioid Abatement Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at the Larimer County Human Services Building at 1501 Blue Spruce Drive in Fort Collins, or virtually via Zoom. From 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual non-attainment area air pollution mitigation enterprise meeting. From 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Go NoCo 34 Transportation Management Organization Board meeting. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization Planning Council meeting at the Timnath Town Center at 4750 Signal Drive in Fort Collins. On Friday, December 5th, from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual State Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting. From 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the State Board of Human Services Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1575 Sherman Street in Denver or virtually via Zoom. From 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Regional Air Quality Council Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1445 Market Street in Denver or virtually via Zoom. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Shattuck McNally may attend the Larimer County Sheriff's Office Holiday Lunch at 2501 Midpoint Drive in Fort Collins. On Saturday, December 6th, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., there will be Common Grounds with Commissioner Shattuck McNally. Topic and location will be announced prior to the meeting. And from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Estes Park Colorado Creative District Celebration at the Estes Arts District Headquarters at 143 East Elkhorn Avenue in Estes Park. And this is the Commissioner's schedule for December 8th through the 13th. On Monday, December 8th, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Behavioral Health Consumer Advisory Committee Policy Council and Technical Advisory Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 2260 West Chilby Road in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., there will be a work session regarding the state fiscal year 2026 to 2027 requested state budget and the impact on human services in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a work session regarding Internal Climate Action Plan and Colorado Communities for Climate Action Policy in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Tuesday, December 9th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be Administrative Direction to County Management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Environmental and Science Advisory Board meeting in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor. From 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Loveland Urban Renewal Authority Board meeting at the Loveland City Council Chambers at 500 East 3rd Street in Loveland. On Wednesday, December 10th, from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioners will attend the Larimer County Employee Holiday Open House at the Ranch at 5290 Arena Circle in Loveland. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Rural Action Caucus meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Environment, Energy, and Land Use Policy Steering Committee meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be a work session with Mark Pfaffinger, Support Services Director, regarding internal services in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., there will be a Commissioners/Planning Commission holiday party at the Home Run Bar and Grill at 5290 Arena Circle in Loveland. On Thursday, December 11th, from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority Board meeting at Innisphere Ventures at 320 Vine Drive in Fort Collins. From 10 to 11 a.m., there will be a 2025 revised and 2026 budget adoption hearing in the hearing room on the first floor. From 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together policy meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Office on Aging Volunteer Appreciation Lunch at the Moot House at 2626 South College Avenue in Fort Collins. From 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., Commissioners Stevens may participate in the virtual Colorado State University presentation of House Bill 22-1259 findings meeting. From 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Northern Colorado Fireshed Collaborative meeting. From 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Fort Collins Urban Renewal Authority Finance Committee meeting. From 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Fort Collins Human Relations Awards at City Hall at 300 LaPorte Avenue in Fort Collins. From 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Thompson Valley Emergency Medical Services Annual Holiday Awards and Recognition Banquet at TPC Colorado at 2375 TPC Parkway in Berthoud. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Stevens may attend the Early Childhood Provider Appreciation Awards event at 417 West Magnolia Street in Fort Collins. On Friday, December 12th, from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual State Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting. On Saturday, December 13th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioners may attend the Larimer County Master Gardener Banquet in the hearing room on the first floor. And from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Wreaths Across America ceremony at Grandview Cemetery at 1900 West Mountain Avenue in Fort Collins.
Thank you, Sarah. That was a lot, so we appreciate that. Commissioners, any changes or corrections you want to make to your schedules? Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, everyone, for wrangling our schedules. On Wednesday, December 3rd, I am also going to the downtown DA meeting or holiday party at the Silver Grail, so add me to that. Saturday, December 6th is, I'm going to move that from 10 to 11 because then I'll leave from that to go up to the Estes Park event. And so I wanted to kind of not have the opening. So we're going to do that at Top of the Lakes Coffee, which is at the Forge off of Southwest 14th. And the topic is end of the year debrief. And then, okay, you've got the Lura on there. And then December 11th, it's going to be one of those marathon days, and I'm going to head out and go to the Estes Valley Land Trust Holiday Reception at the YMCA of the Rockies from 4 to 5, and then go to the Thompson Valley Banquet. So, and that is Thompson or Estes Valley Land Trust Holiday Party. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kafalis, any corrections? Please go ahead.
Thanks. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Sarah. Well, with all these holiday parties, it looks like I'll be doing a lot of partying in the coming weeks and towards Christmas. I do have some changes for the first week, December 1st through the 6th, that aren't additional parties that I'm going to. The first is on Monday, December 1st. I will be attending the UC Health Estes Valley Medical Center grand opening event, 11 to 11:30 up in Estes Park. and I can give you more details. On Tuesday, December 2nd, from 5:30 to 7:30, I will be participating in a Zonta Club event, a screening of the film In Her Shoes, having to do with domestic violence, and that will be at the Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce. Let's see. Then, regarding the Wellington Community Conversation, the main topic will be an update on the Northern Integrated Supply Project, Glade Reservoir rerouting of Highway 287, and I have confirmed that two folks from Northern will be there. One is their senior project manager, and the other is their public information officer. So I can provide more details if needed. Let's see. My goodness. Also on Thursday, December 4th, I will be attending, I think this was mentioned, from 3:30 to 5 or so, the Ready Gathering, Regional Economic Development Initiative Gathering in Loveland. And then finally on that day, 6 to 8 p.m., attending the annual Elected Officials event, ASCSU, in the Laurie Student Center, Ballroom D. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Sarah, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Sir, I forgot, put that on the calendar. I'm also been asked to speak at the December 1st at Estes Valley. I have to go up there, and then I'm heading down to Westminster. Thank you. At the Park Hospital thing.
Okay, Sarah. We're like overloading. I have a couple corrections. On December 3rd, I will also be attending the Downtown Development Authority Holiday Party, since I serve on that board. On just Thursday, December 4th at noon, from noon to 1, I have my Transportation Policy Steering Committee with National Association of Counties. I think there's one more. And I may be attending the Grandview Cemetery Wreaths Across America on Saturday, December 13th, depending on how the banquet goes for the Master Gardeners. And that is it for me. Thank you. All right, so we will move on to our consent agenda. I'll read through the items on the consent agenda. The first item is our abatements, and there are 23 abatements, and lucky for you all, I will not read through every single abatement that happened, but you can find more information on that online. They are petitions for abatement or refund of taxes, either for the year of tax year 2023 or 2024. We have two agreements on our consent agenda. The first is a train construction proposal. This is for the replacement of the evaporative cooling system at the jail. And the total dollar amount on this is approximately $3.3 million. The second agreement is a development agreement for Pivot Solar. The county has approved the petition for Pivot Energy permit, 1041 permit, and has approved the Pivot Energy technical review. The development agreement outlines other requirements and agreements regarding the revegetation plan, landscaping, decommissioning, and decommissioning bond. We have 6 appointments on our calendar. The first is a recommended midterm appointment to the Poudre River Public Library District Board for Alyssa Acevedo, and that term runs through March 31st of 2026. Another midterm appointment to the same board for Jacqueline Menendez, and her term will run through March 31st of 2028. A midterm appointment to the Agricultural Advisory Board for Sherry Kraft, with a term ending November 30th, 2027. Appointments to the Rockview Wildflower Ridge Public Improvement District for Kathleen McBride and Darren Miller, who will both serve terms ending November 30th, 2029. Two appointments to the Agricultural Advisory Board for Emily McMurtry and Chad Onthank, both with terms ending November 30th, 2028. A midterm appointment to the Agricultural Advisory Board for Chris Stedman with a term that ends November 30th, 2027. And that is it for appointments. We have one deed. It's a deed of dedication for right-of-way purposes. This is acquisition of right-of-way associated with road improvements to County Road 70. We have one request for a letter of support. This is for a Colorado DCFC Plaza grant application. This is installing DCFC charging infrastructure at the ranch, which advances multiple county and statewide priorities, including strengthening our electric vehicle charging action plan and increasing, local EV charging reliability, reducing greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector, which is the county's second largest emissions sector, and ensuring the ranch remains a regional destination as it moves forward with Phase 2 of the master plan. We have three miscellaneous items. The first is a Jobs for Veterans State Grant Memorandum of Understanding. This is a one-year extension of an existing contract between Larimer County and the Workforce Development Program, allowing both parties to maintain uninterrupted delivery of workforce services, meet ongoing program requirements, and support strategic goals related to employment training and economic development for veterans. We have the 2026 Visit Estes Park Operating Plan and Town of Estes Park Workforce Housing and Child Care Funding Plan. We adopt the operating plan for Visit Estes Park every year. Jointly with the Town of Estes Park, a joint meeting was held on October 15th. And we not only reviewed the proposed operating plan, but included the workhouse housing and child care funding proposal. And finally, under miscellaneous, a decommissioning bond. This is in the sum of $269,000. Bond was furnished by Pivot Solar. That item was talked about earlier. This is to secure the principal's obligation to perform the decommissioning and site reclamation activities as required by the development agreement. We have two resolutions, and that is the last item on our agenda. The first is findings and resolutions regarding the amended service plan for the Park Hospital District. This was a public hearing was held for this item on November 10th, 2025. And the second is a finding and resolution denying the Zigray Road Administrative Special Review Short-Term Rental and Appeal, and that public hearing was held on September 22nd, 2025. So, we finished it. All right, so anything either commissioner would want to remove from this consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I will ask Commissioner Shattuck McNally to make the motion on this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the consent agenda for November 25th, 2025.
Thank you. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. Do either of you have guests here this morning, Commissioner?
I don't have guests this morning, but I wanted to alert my colleagues that I'm bringing a guest on December 16th in the morning. Sarah, I'm drawing a blank, from Visit Estes Park, the new executive director. She wanted to come and introduce herself to all of us. She starts on December 1st. And I apologize, Sarah.
Sarah Leonard.
Sarah Leonard, yes, sorry, it's just a lot. There's Sarah Martin, there's Sarah, just, it's still early. I need some more coffee. But I thought it would be great for her to come down and introduce herself to us. So she's going to come down and speak to us on December 16th. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for letting us know about that. So we'll move on to our discussion items. And our first discussion item is the grant award announcement for the Community Wildfire Defense Grant Round 3, submitted by Josh Roberts from Office of Emergency Management. And look, he's already at the podium. So, Josh, I will let you take over this item.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. And good morning, Commissioners, colleagues. Josh Roberts, Mitigation Coordinator out of the Office of Emergency Management. And yeah, so good news to share this morning. A few months ago, we were notified by the state and federal Forest Service of our grant award. So if I can, just take a few minutes, I'll summarize the award, talk a little bit about the project area, and I also, more importantly, want to introduce or at least recognize a number of folks that are here with us today that participated in the proposal development on the application. So first off, the grant award, a summary here. So it's about $9.8 million, and it's to fund a project that we are calling Protecting the Gateway to the Rockies Wildfire Defense Project. It's kind of a mouthful. We're still working on an acronym, but it's a good project name, and it's funded through the U.S. Federal Forest Service's Community Wildfire Defense Grant Program. That program might sound a little bit familiar. Round 2 of the CWDG program was awarded a couple of years ago to fund $9.6 million worth of wildfire resilience, wildfire mitigation kind of activity in the Red Feather Lakes area, northern part of Larimer. And so we're the lucky recipients of a Round 3 award for this Protecting the Gateway to the Rockies Wildfire Defense Project. Now, what this project means, activities that'll be funded through this grant award can really be categorized into sort of 6 different buckets or 6 different groups. One, $4.1 million. These are estimates here, but roughly $4.1 million to fund mitigation treatments to establish defensible space around property owners' properties, as well as education on wildfire preparedness and HIZ, home ignition zone practices. Additionally, $2 million for landscape scale or stand scale wildfire mitigation treatments on open spaces or larger acreage parcels. About $1 million for strategic fuels treatments along roadways to try to implement fuel breaks or just improve evacuation routes in strategic areas. About $1 million to enhance our community's capacity to deal with post-treatment woody biomass that's generated from these treatments. So this award will fund a number of those community/management activities, if you will. Additionally, about $330,000 will go to some evacuation drills and improvements of evacuations plans and procedures throughout the project area. And then, of course, to successfully execute all of this and do what we said we were going to do in time and within budget, some funding, about $1.4 million to help with the management and administration of the grant project. Now, importantly, let me talk a little bit about the project area. So the project area primarily it represents those communities that have current community wildfire protection plans, or CWPPs. Frankly, because of those CWPPs being less than 5 years old was the only reason why we were eligible for this grant in the first place. And those community wildfire protection plans that are in place and were current at the time of the proposal last year is Loveland Fire Rescue Authority, their CWPP, Estes Valley Fire Protection District, and their CWPP, and the Glen Haven Area Retreat CWPP. So this means that the project area essentially is going to include Estes Park and the Valley, Glen Haven Retreat area, and then the forested corridor through the Big Thompson Canyon. So funds will have to be spent on eligible activities within those project areas. And lastly, I'll mention there was a number of partners. This was a truly collaborative proposal development, and it was born out of a group that's called the Big Thompson Watershed Health Partnership, which is a number of organizations working on forest health, wildfire mitigation, watershed health kind of things in that Big Thompson watershed area. And a number of different organizations and their personnel helped to craft this proposal. And, you know, I really think that's why our proposal was very competitive, is because it really, it bled through on paper and on computer screens to the evaluator, I believe, just how collaborative we are, you know, here in the area and the strength that exists among the team. So with that said, if you guys in the audience that participated in the proposal development, so most people on this side, if y'all want to stand so that we can recognize you, please. Thank you for all your partnership. There's a number of folks who couldn't be here today, but this represents a smattering of people that really helped in a big way. So thanks for all your help, and look forward to working with you on the project over the next 5 years. It's a 5-year performance period. I failed to mention that. So that's the time frame that we have. Also, probably importantly, I'll mention we haven't received the formal grant agreement yet. So we can't do anything, we can't spend any money quite yet, and we anticipate that in a number of months. So a little bit unknown, it's coming, just don't know exactly when. But once we get that, we'll bring it to you guys for review and permission to execute with signature, and then we'll get started. So with that, any questions
I'll ask for questions.
or comments?
Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's so great to see your familiar faces. I enjoyed attending that Big Thompson Watershed Health Partnership. First off, just want to make some comments, and I'm going to make some questions, a couple of questions. First, I've been so impressed since I became a commissioner. When I came on, I was like Forest Health, and they said, "Can you comment on the Black Diamond?" And I'm like, "What is that? And what's going on?" And trying to understand all these CWPPs and what was going on, and realizing really the county was not as active at the table as I would have liked to have been. And then we brought you on, Josh, and now we have such strong relationships and partnerships and trust. I think that's really important, and we have such an engaged community. And I want to commend you for the bridge that you've built, and all the communication and the collaboration, the coordination. You can have all the money in the world, throw it at a project, but if you don't have the right people in the right place doing the right things together at the right time, it doesn't work. And I think we're at the cusp of us solving our challenges with solutions that will be sustainable in the long run and help protect our landscapes and bring back a normal kind of beneficial for the landscape and protecting lives and property in our beautiful landscapes. So to our partners, this is kind of in my district. I've been coming up there all my life, and the way you have approached this as collaboration and the data-driven decisions, because there is a lot of work to do, hundreds of millions of dollars of work to do. And so 10 million sounds like a lot, but it's a drop in the bucket. Really is a drop in the bucket, and it's not going to fix it. It's not a one and done. This is 20 to 30 years of sustainable work that we're setting up some great foundational processes, and we can't do that without your partners, including our law enforcement, our fire departments, which it's so great to be on the landscape doing cold fire tours and walking the grounds and looking at all of that. And Big Thompson Watershed Coalition, I have been volunteering and involved with you since 2016, 2015. When I went, I've been planting along the river and taking tours. And so this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. And you have persevered and persisted and been involved. And I just think we're stronger than ever. And I want to just thank you for going after this and doing this, because this is really important. I think we don't want to see another mega fire here in Larimer County. And I wanted a couple of questions. So first, just my heartfelt gratitude. This is something near and dear to my heart, and just know how much I appreciate the time and energy that you all put together to do this. It couldn't happen without all of you working together. First question. When I first started looking at Red Feather Lakes had some CWPPs, and you talked about the 5 years, I've seen them grow exponentially, and those take money and committed folks. And there's been some voluntold folks that I think of the gentleman, is it Tom? Up in that he said, "Who's going to do the work?" And then he's now leading it.
That's right.
How many have we had, considering where you came, Josh, or even when I started as commissioner, we had maybe 4 or 5, and now how many do we think we have, especially in this corridor, that have grown the last 5 years? Because that takes a lot of work and community involvement.
Yeah, great question, and thanks for your comments earlier. So in that corridor, there were 3, and those are the 3 that we were able to pull in as part of this grant. In terms of total number now versus 2.5, 3 years ago, I don't quite have those figures. I'm looking at Derek, if you know, 8 now.
We might have, can you repeat what he says? Because we won't be able to hear that on the TV. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I think 8 total, and a few are up for renewal across the county that are really at that community level, neighborhood scale, give or take.
And then Livermore's starting there, so that would make it 9.
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
Livermore Fire Protection District starting theirs, and Red Feather Lakes area, Red Feather Lakes is updating theirs as well. Yeah.
Great. So my next question, and then I'll turn over to my colleagues. I mean, I will probably have lots of questions. I have had lots of questions. When you talk about roadside treatments, this is for ingress, egress. I mean, evacuation routes are so important. We walked around Cherokee Park area a few months ago to look at those and how important it is for a lot of reasons. Knowing, takes a lot of maintenance for those roads. Is any of that money, other than for treatments for the mitigation work, can be used to help do some maintenance to make the roads a little more secure during an evacuation? I'm just curious about that. Or is it just the mitigation treatments?
Yeah, great question. Unfortunately, there's not. It really just speaks to what's eligible are those fuels reduction kind of treatments. And I'll mention, primarily we want to look at those areas that afford fire managers, fire response, an opportunity to fight fire a little bit better, give them more tools in the toolbox. So we're going to be looking to implement fuel breaks, which are essentially, think 300-foot swath along a road, but reduction of that fuel, even if it's shaded. But we'll also be looking at those areas that will primarily just help slick up evacuation routes. But yeah, no funding can be used on the road itself.
I didn't think so, but I wanted to confirm that, especially for the public. So when you say roadside, I just want to make sure we kind of clarify
Yeah,
that.
great clarification.
Again, so excited, but again, just for the public's knowledge, this is, I think, can you share about the 400 million work and just how this is 2 drops in the bucket in the bigger picture, and how just kind of explain that really quickly for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Commissioner, thanks. And what Commissioner is referring to, if we were to look at Larimer County, just within Larimer County boundaries, and we were to look at those lands that are owned by private or nonprofit entities, so private nonprofit lands, and if we were to apply, there's a number of acreage, right? And then if we were to apply some science-backed sort of look at what's accessible and what's feasible to treat, given slopes and terrain, it's mountainous terrain, then what we're really looking at, and if we apply a 4,000 an acre cost factor, then we're looking at north of $450 million worth of work to do. So $10 million, roughly 9.8, it represents about 2.5%, of the work. So to your point, it's a great start and affords us a great opportunity to really do some meaningful, substantial things. But there's a long road ahead. It took us more than a century to get us into the position that we're in now. It's going to take us a little bit more than 5 years to figure it out.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it, and thank you all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kafalis, any comments or questions?
Yes. So, of course, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I think one of the biggest takeaways is that we continue to collaborate well with our nonprofit partners, certainly the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, Emergency Services. I think it's just another example of what seems to come rather natural to us, and it allows us to leverage other resources like you've described. So I won't repeat what's been said, but just thank you very much to everyone concerned. Josh is blocking out everybody.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry.
I think I have 2 questions that I don't believe have been addressed, or maybe they've been partially addressed. The first one is, as you mentioned, this grant, 9.9 million rounded off, is over a 5-year period.
Mm-hmm.
How will you all prioritize what takes place in the first year, et cetera? And then also with regard to the wildfire mitigation, well, even on open space and on private property, how do you prioritize who gets to receive the services for improving their defensible space and things like that? So there are a couple of questions in there. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the comments, Commissioner. And yeah, great questions. There's a significant amount of details that we're going to have to figure out, together. And one thing I might mention in terms of the question of how do we prioritize, like what gets done?
Year one.
Right, like first, and then moving forward, and what areas, really, frankly, and then just property owners themselves. So, um, the really cool thing about this grant program is it affords us a certain amount of flexibility and adaptability that we can bake into the project. Meaning, we didn't have to have a very defined scope of work saying exactly what we were going to do with a good degree of precision, where we were going to do it, when we were going to do it, who we were going to do it with. We essentially said we got all kinds of things to do that are outlined in these community wildfire protection plans. So activities in those plans make themselves eligible for this funding. And then we applied some cost rates and cost estimations to get funding. We also additionally worked as a partnership to sort of prioritize. I mentioned those buckets and the home ignition zone education and defensible space treatments. That was prioritized by the collaborative as sort of one of the higher buckets or categories of work that we really wanted to put more money to. So, a couple of different, things there. I guess one is to note that this grant program and this project will afford us to make some decisions together among the partnership. And so the first year or more is going to be a lot of discussion. It's going to be a lot of planning. We can look through those community wildfire protection plans. There's a lot more than $10 million to do that's outlined in those 3 plans, but we'll start prioritizing and pulling from those plans. What are the best bang for buck? Where are those opportunities we can to make a difference? We can do on things we can do to make a difference, and then we'll start doing those. But we'll prioritize these things together. First year, again, planning discussions, and then years 2 to 5 are going to be more doing stuff. Very similar to how the pace that the Red Feather Lakes area project is kind of undertaken and ongoing. And then in terms of exactly who, it's a great question, and I know we're going to get lots of those questions. There are more people. If we were to look at 1 acre of work, let's say that $4,000 acre cost factor there, that's roughly $1.2 million in each of these community wildfire protection plan geographic areas, if you will. There's a lot more people out there that live with property than what we have money to do. And so we want it to be fair. We want it to be equitable. And we want to be transparent about how some of these decisions are being made and how people can access the assistance. And we're just going to have to work together to figure those things out.
Great. My second question. Thank you, Josh. And I believe you may have already answered this question that I'm going to pose, but perhaps you could expand. And that is, how will the work in the Big Thompson watershed and up in Estes complement what is already occurring in the Red Feather Lakes area, and then the Big Kahuna wildfire defense project, the Black Diamond, the U.S. Forest Service, which is looking at the entire, I think, a big chunk of the Arapahoe Roosevelt National Forest. So, could you speak to that? How do these puzzle pieces fit together? How do they complement? How do we work together moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. And a big piece of all of this work is working together to sync up those treatments to maximize the effectiveness of a treatment. For example, if you treat over here in this corner of the county and you treat over there in that corner of the county, it does some good in terms of reduction of risk and opportunities to better manage fire. But if you put those two together, then it just affords an even better, it just maximizes the effectiveness of that treatment. And so whether it's CWDG funded, the 2 big projects that we're going to have now, or many other grant projects or work that our partners are doing on their own, and everything in between. A big goal of the larger Northern Colorado Fireshed Collaborative and the partnership is to really work together to sync up those treatments to maximize the effectiveness of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, for example, the U.S. Forest Service is engaged in a lot of pile burning, when the weather conditions and snow conditions are allow for that to occur, and then there are various prescribed burns, so it's all syncing up with those kinds of activities as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you kindly.
Well, thank you, Josh. Thanks for bringing this forward and for sharing this with the community. And thank you to all of our partners very much. This work doesn't happen in a vacuum, and so we all have to work together on these projects. One of the questions that I had was around the $1.4 million that's allocated for management and administration. Will there be people hired on to be able to complete some of this stuff in 5 years? or are you going to work with our partners that are here and outside this room to be able to get the projects done?
Yes, to the latter part, maybe to the first part. What we want to do is be good stewards of the dollar and really try to apply the federal tax dollar, all of our tax dollars together to maximize what we want to accomplish with the grant. But we'll just kind of have to see that out as we go a little bit. If we need to bring on some additional resources, whether that's contracted, help, or an agreement with a partner organization, or perhaps even internally, we haven't really broached that point, and so it's sort of all on the table as a maybe. So.
Yeah, that's great. And does the dollars have to be spent within the 5-year period? Is that
They
correct?
do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, you bet.
Well, yeah, just keep us posted on that. That piece will obviously be, kind of interesting to us, but, and certainly, really, really grateful to have these dollars. These projects are big and costly and start to chip away at some of the work that we need to do. So really important. It's also dollars that it would be hard for us to find in our current budget. Almost impossible to find in our current budget. So to be able to have these grant dollars to be able to address these issues in our wildfire regions is really important. So I don't think I have anything else, but I just thank you for coming with the good news, and thank you again to everyone in the audience who's really helped with this. This is I'm glad we do this work jointly. It feels good to be able to be part of this partnership of addressing these issues. So thank you.
Madam Chair, may I make
Please.
a request?
Please go ahead.
Since we have so many partners in the room that have come down from Estes Park and such, can we do a quick group photo to celebrate this opportunity?
Sure, we can do that.
Thank you.
So we will just pause right now for a photo and we'll come back. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, we are back, and our next item was submitted by our Larimer County Clerk and Recorder, Tina Harris. We welcome her this morning, and she will give us an update about the November 2025 election. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. I'm Tina Harris, and I'm the clerk and recorder. And I want to start today by recognizing my incredible elections team for the extraordinary work that they did for this year's coordinated election. This election was not a typical year for us. This was our first ever ranked voting election for the city of Fort Collins. And it was a historic milestone that required more than a year of preparation. And I don't think people really understand the work that went into preparing for this election. Ranked voting is a highly technical process, and our team rose to every challenge that was presented to them. And so, and while implementing ranked voting alone could have been a full-time project, the team didn't stop there. Along the way, they enhanced other core areas of operations, which I'm extremely proud of. And that really is what helped us be so successful during this election. They built a more comprehensive training program for our election judges. They collaborated closely with our vote center supervisors at the beginning of the year to see where those roadblocks, some of the pain points were. And by doing so, we also, they created new judge positions to help with that flow in our vote centers. And they developed new tools to track and balance ballots. To monitor our phone calls to track the questions that we are receiving so we can really analyze that data and see how we can improve the information that we have out on our website and how we can improve our community outreach and education. They also created tools to monitor supplies and other materials in our vote centers and also in our counting facility. So there was a lot of work that was done this year that I'm very proud of. They built, or when it came time to run the election, our judges and our staff embraced every change that we made. They learned new systems, they adapted to new procedures, and they carried out their roles with professionalism and grace. I can't speak more highly of them. And they're, you know, the folks that ran this election this time, they have a true commitment to providing the best service to all of our community. And so the success of this election did not happen by accident, honestly. It happened because of their dedication, their flexibility, and their heart. And I could not be more proud to be part of this team. So let's talk about this election. For the 2025 coordinated election, Larimer County had 277,546 eligible electors. We tabulated 134,202 ballots, resulting in a turnout of 48.4%, which is very strong for a coordinated election year. The overall state turnout was only 43%, so we helped contribute to that. Here's how those ballots broke down. We received 132,289 ballots with 131,121 accepted and 1,168 rejected. I want to note that 53,270 of those mail ballots that we received for this election was received on election day. That's 40% of the total ballots that we received for this election was received on election day. We processed 63 property owner ballots. 62 were accepted and 1 was rejected. We had 5 provisional ballots cast with 3 accepted and 2 rejected. And we had 3,015 in-person voters for this election. So overall, the ballot processing and reconciliation were smooth and consistent across all ballot types. This election marked Larimer County's first implementation of ranked voting, and that included educational materials, creating educational materials for the community, programming the contest, determining adjudication rules, adjusting ballot design, and conducting ranked voting logic and accuracy testing, which we've not had to do before, so that would be separate than the regular LAT that we would do for a plurality contest. We worked closely with the Secretary of State's office along with our voting system vendor to make sure throughout the entire process to ensure that we were following all law and rule. And now that the election is complete, we'll be conducting a detailed post-election review with the City of Fort Collins, really to evaluate data, processes, and lessons learned. Our Canvas board met on Friday, November 21st, and the election has been officially certified. So we're very excited about that. And leading into Canvas, we completed all required audit and reconciliation work, including the statewide risk limiting audit. And for context, we audited 448 ballots total in Larimer County, which is a lot more than we would normally audit. That included 240 ballots for the Fort Collins the mayor's ranked voting race or contest, and 208 ballots for our countywide issue 1A and the statewide Proposition MM. And for comparison, other Front Range counties audited roughly between 90 and 425 ballots, depending on that county size and the contest. So Larimer's audit sample size was consistent with the other counties with a similar scale, and reinforces the strong statistical confidence of the election, or of our results. With certification complete, and after some well-deserved time off for the team, we'll begin our internal debrief with our staff. We will also meet with, as I said earlier, we'll meet with the City of Fort Collins to review the ranked voting experience in detail. And as always, we'll continue to evaluate our processes, refine our judge training, because that was the key to the success here this year, assess the new tools and roles we introduced, and begin planning for future improvements. Believe it or not, we have another election right around the corner in June. Woohoo! Right? So I just want to thank you guys. It's always a pleasure to be able to present this information to you. And I can't tell you, I'm so incredibly proud of the team and the election judges and the work that they did this election. We did have an appreciation event last night for them, and we had about 177 attendees. So that's wonderful. We had about 300 judges working for us this year. And this room does not smell like barbecue, so that's awesome. Smelled like barbecue last night.
Well, thank you so much, County Clerk. Anything else that you want to present, or are you open to taking some questions?
I'm open to taking questions,
Okay.
comments.
Perfect. Commissioner Kafalis.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Clerk and Recorder. Just to begin with, I want to share a few words of affirmation. First of all, I seem to recall prior to the election, when we were discussing the upcoming election and its uniqueness with the first time we've implemented ranked choice voting. My first comment is I seem to recall you thought that the turnout would be about 48%. So you were pretty darn spot on. You must have some magical powers of forecasting. Although we were a bit worried. I think it was just the weekend or a few days before we were I was looking at the website and it was 17%. And then, of course, we had that flurry, as we often do, of folks turning in ballots or voting in person on Election Day. And I think you said 53% of the people voted on Election Day.
About 40% of them. It was 53,270 ballots returned on Election Day.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So one word of affirmation is to you, Tina Harris, our clerk and recorder, and certainly your team. I think you did an excellent job in the ways that you described. Regarding the ranked choice voting, for example, as one who is someone who's advocated for ranked choice voting as an alternative voting method that can help us make sure that someone wins with simple majority and helps address perhaps some of the negative campaigning that can sometimes occur. I thought you guys did an amazing job on the website of explaining it. It even helped me to understand with the various infographics and how things are being tabulated. So I thought that was great. Regarding the people in where we are downstairs, and here at the county building and other places, whenever I would walk by and just say hello, everyone was incredibly friendly, very customer service oriented. So I think that's another commendation to you and your team. And then I suppose one other thing, and maybe there's a question, but maybe not. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I I spoke with at least one person who went to visit the vote counting center that we were able to collect together a couple of years ago, and was very impressed by, how it was configured, the space, the technology, and all of that. So I wanted to offer that as another positive thing. And then I guess I'll insert one question. I'm sorry that I've carried on here, but I think these folks deserve it, frankly. And my question is, and you talked about the audits, but would you say that this election, with all of its uniqueness in terms of concerns or questions that some people have sometimes about voter integrity and election integrity, would you say that we conducted this election with the highest levels of election integrity and voter integrity?
I absolutely do. This audit, we actually audited more than we would normally. Usually, for an audit, the audit, because we had to audit more ballots for the ranked voting, we ended up auditing 448. No, if we did not have ranked voting, we would have only audited 208 of those ballots. So technically, that 448 also included every single one of those races, even though it was two separate audits, it still included. So we really audited all, we duplicated our audit process basically. And so with that being said, I have the utmost confidence that our elections are run with the highest integrity. They're very accurate. They're very secure just based on that audit that we did here in Larimer County.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk and Recorder.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. We appreciate them and the support.
And thanks to all these good folks.
Thank you. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Clerk and Recorder Tina Harris, thank you. I think about the last year as we knew this ranked choice voting was coming, and you partnered with City of Fort Collins and DeLynn, and you were at a lot of community events with your staff trying to educate and help spread the word and talk about the importance of voting. And you put a lot of work in the last year, and I want to thank you for that, because I do think that helped with folks kind of getting past that concern about how do I do this. And we had done the we had done the Civics 101 at CSU with the students, and we've done a lot of you've just done a lot of things above and beyond, and I just wanted to thank you for that. I've talked to a lot of election judges after the fact when this is all said and done, and they go around and express the same confidence that you do, that these are really secure and safe elections, and that our county does just an exemplary job of taking care of our election judges, but also just making sure we're following every procedure in the state statute to the letter. And I just want to thank you for your leadership there and your team. They are always above and beyond, working hard, and I have all the confidence in the world in you and your department and your office, because you're transparent, you're accountable, you communicate well, and I just want to thank you for that, because it's very easy when I have folks ask questions, say, what about this? I said, oh, let me tell you, this is amazing, and you should have all the confidence. This is a great process. And I appreciate the dinner and the things you do, because those election judges have a lot of long hours and stress, and they care about our democracy and the right to vote and voting. And I think that's just outstanding. You said 300, and just knowing those folks are willing to give of that time and to invest in that, I think is remarkable. And I think that also attributes to your creating that culture and climate of folks being able to come and feel valued and doing something very, very important. So, I don't know the answer to this question, but I got asked this a lot right after the week between when the ballots, closed and everyone's checking the results and they say, how many more ballots to count? And why is this taking so long? And why we still have 7,000? And I said, it takes what it takes. There's some different processes this year. Just know that this is important to make sure they have the time, the space to do all the things they need to do. And so I'm wondering if you could just kind of speak to that, because that was probably the most asked question is how many ballots they have to count. And I think it was mostly because the Loveland race was so close with the mayor's race with 193 votes between the two. I just was getting a lot of questions. And then I think there was two other races that were within 20 or in there.
About
Very
38.
Yeah, so it was very close. So could you speak to that just
Sure.
briefly? And because I know you guys were doing your utmost best. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that had to do with the number of ballots that were returned on election night itself or election day. Most of those ballots that we received, we did not get them until after 7 p.m. once the ballot drop boxes were closed, right? So then we had to wait for them to come in from Estes Park and from Red Feather Lakes, so across the county. So that is one of the reasons, that is the main reason that it took us another day and a half to finish the counting. So we finished on Thursday around 1 p.m. counting all of the ballots. And you're exactly right. There's a lot that goes into receiving a ballot. There's a signature verification that has to take place. Then there's extraction. The extraction process was unique this year because we had for the city of Fort Collins, it was a 2-card ballot. For every other contest or race or municipality, it was a 1-card ballot. So that threw in some nuances that had to be mitigated. And, the team, they prepared so well for this. We had so many contingency plans. We didn't really have to implement a lot of those contingency plans or really any of those contingency plans until we got to the risk limiting audit, right? Because we had to kind of recreate or reimagine what that would look like. But that is really the crust of it. We encourage people to use our drop boxes and not return their ballots by mail, especially as we approach election day. We encourage folks to vote early so that we can get those results to everyone as quickly as possible. Sooner than a day and a half, we fully anticipated that we would, based on the early turnout, that we would be able to finish up either election night or early the next morning on Wednesday morning. However, we were not anticipating that many ballots being returned to us on election day.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. I mean, that you said 53,000.
270.
Yeah, that's a lot to count. I think just remarkable work. And I just want to thank you for your communication and to be available. And thank you for being here today to certify that and with all this information. I really appreciate it. And well done. Thank you. And please express my gratitude to your team. Thanks.
I will do. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Tina. I also, appreciate all the work that you and your team do. And, in many ways, it looks pretty seamless. Like, I didn't receive a lot of calls, and I had a lot of people comment on how they liked the way that the ranked voting results were displayed. They liked that. And not just people from here, but people from other counties who were following our races said that was really easy to follow. And I wasn't sure how that was going to look. And so that little graphic where you clicked for the different rounds was really great. I have just, I guess, one of my questions is, do you pick the races so in the auditing process, do you pick which items on the ballot are audited, or is that are some suggested to you by like the state or Secretary of State's?
The Secretary of State's office actually picks those races.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. And then is there anything that, I'm wondering in the voting process, were there a lot of calls or questions of judges that we hired around how to do the ranked choice voting? Was it fairly clear? It seemed clear to me, but also my son said, oh, I thought we had to rank out everybody all like, and I was like, no, you don't have to do that. Why did you think that? So I wondered, did they receive a lot of questions? Was there any confusion amongst voters when they were doing the ranked voting?
So at this point, it's still a little early on because we're going to be analyzing that data. We implemented this program or this software so that we could get the most common questions, and we're going to evaluate that. The one that we saw the most, the most calls we received was really about replacing a ballot because they've made an error on their ballot. So it felt like an enormous amount of ballot replacements this time compared to other elections because people were making mistakes as they were ranking the candidates. So we received a lot of that. But the rest of it is really a great question. And those are some of the things that we'll be analyzing. And that way, because what's going to happen is this is going to help us prepare to be able to educate the community even more, to better educate them. Now, there was information that we inserted inside of every ballot envelope and then on the ballot itself that, may have answered some of those questions. We had FAQs out on our website. So, it would also be great. We will also probably look into analyzing how many clicks we got for those FAQs and see how we can point people more to that. And I think that, that's going to be our next debrief that we'll have with our team.
That's great. I thought the instructions were really helpful. I mean, even though I felt like I knew what I was doing, I just wanted to review it because there was one that's like, don't do it like this. Do it. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it like that. So I did think that written, and I didn't go to the website, but I thought the written instructions were very helpful as we voted. And then, of course, we won't. You said we're already having an election in June, and that'll be a primary election for some of these races. No ranked voting in the next year. So you'll have a couple years. Well, not quite a couple years, but a couple years to that next election with ranked voting, and a while to actually kind of see where there may have been some issues with people not maybe understanding or having to do the replacement ballots.
Right. So, I anticipate that leading up to the next ranked voting election, which I believe will be in 2027, we'll already have a lot of this data analyzed and we'll be able to create a better plan or enhance the plan that we currently have to make sure that those questions, if we do notice that there's patterns of confusion, that we will be able to, really engage with our community and work to make sure that the instructions are a lot clearer and the information we're providing them is a lot clearer.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think there was widespread confusion. I mean, you didn't have that kind of calls, just the replacement of ballots. Like, maybe I did two, columns, and I did too many circlings, but things like that, right? It wasn't necessarily that people didn't understand it. They just made a mistake as they were going along.
And one of the things, just off the cuff, one of the lessons we've learned, having 7 candidates for one race poses a problem if there's not, and we're going to work with our vendor to see if there's a way that we could put maybe a gray line. So, because there was a lot of times that it was hard to line that up unless you had a ruler, and we had many rulers at the counting facility, at the adjudication, stations, so that or duplications. So when we had to duplicate or adjudicate, we were able to really follow that pattern.
Yeah, a line probably would help, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good to know. Well, thank you again. I think for your work, it was. Like I said, I didn't hear many criticism. People were excited about doing the ranked voting. They were excited to see how the results were displayed. I with that many ballots coming in last minute, I think you did a remarkable job of getting results out to folks in a timely manner. And interestingly, sometimes things change as those results come down. Usually they're, it's usually that what when the first results hit, it's pretty predictive of what's going to happen, but not necessarily. And so It was an interesting night, and I just thank all your staff and all the extra people that you hire on, all the people that come and work for you. You have a very large staff to manage, and we'll probably have an even larger one with midterm. I don't know.
Well,
No, maybe.
yes, it's gonna.
Yes.
Based on the number of candidates that are running for a few of the races, it might be a fun year next year. One other thing I do want to add, I did not get a lot of questions or comments about ranked voting. I mean, really, it was pretty quiet. The biggest question that I received from the community is that there were no party affiliations assigned to the candidates on the ballot, and there's a reason for that. This was a coordinated election, and it's a nonpartisan election, so that's why the party affiliations were not. So there was some confusion there as to why no party affiliations were listed on the ballots themselves, and that is due to this being a nonpartisan race or election.
Right. Oh, thank you. I'll ask the county manager if she has any words that she wants to share.
You know, it's just so impressive each time. The volunteers, the folks you have sitting out here, I know that they get paid a little bit of money, but they're truly volunteers who really do give their time to learn how to manage an election, to fairly conduct an election. You do a lot of background work with them on that, and it shows. They're happy, smiling faces full of good information. Your staff is incredible, the way that they manage that large team that comes in for a short period of time and then goes off. So it's great that you were able to say thank you with a dinner. It would be wonderful to smell the barbecue today. It wouldn't be bad at all. But thank you for what you do for the community and the way you coordinate with county staff to get that done. I know they have to go on to payroll, and there's a lot of internal coordination that happens outside of the complexities of conducting an election itself. So thank you for the way that you do that and the way that you partner.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're absolutely right. There's a lot involved into even getting the election judges onboarded. So it takes a village. I mean, honestly, it takes many departments within the county. And so we're so appreciative of that collaboration and them willing to work with us and the support that they provide us through the entire election. It takes a lot of coordination. Our team is becoming very experienced in how to navigate certain situations, and it really shows. And so each time we get better and better. So I appreciate all the wonderful comments. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and come back anytime and let us know what's going on in future elections. We appreciate seeing you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too. Thank you. All right. Well, we were grateful to hear from our county clerk and recorder, Tina Harris, and thank you for the election results. I'll move things over to our county manager for her update.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I did quite a bit of external coordination last week, including with the town of Wellington, the Poudre School District, and the Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce. Grateful for those relationships we do have with our external partners. But I really want to highlight one thing that our human services staff came up with this year. So when SNAP benefits were withheld and we couldn't issue them, these folks, their heart goes out to those recipients who are food insecure in our community, and they see them across the desk, and they take their phone calls. There are, you might recall, about 19,000 households and 34,000 individuals who receive those food assistance benefits through our human services program. And our employees wanted to do something across the county. So our human services staff came up with the idea of conducting a food drive to benefit the food bank for Larimer County. They're calling it the Harvest of Hope Larimer County Employee Food Drive. It officially kicks off today, but word went out on Friday with our little internal bulletin that we send. The goal is to raise $5,000 and to collect food in boxes that is being coordinated across the county. So far, we're nearly halfway there, and it's technically been open, 2 hours. So thank you to the generosity of our staff, to our human services staff who are taking it upon themselves to coordinate this. I think it speaks to who works for the county and how much they do care about the community, regardless of what work they do and where they work. And then I'll add that offices are, of course, closed Thursday and Friday in observance of Thanksgiving holiday. Those are our non-emergency offices, and so you can find specific information about county services on our website, larimer.gov, if you're interested. And a heartfelt happy Thanksgiving to all of you commissioners, to our community members, and to our county staff. You are all a great group of people to work with, and our community is wonderful to serve. So thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you to the county manager. Any questions for our county manager? Thank you for reminding us about the food drive and the ability for people to both donate food and money to that. And I'm glad to hear it's off to a great start. So it is one way to address hunger in our community, and we know that people had delayed benefits, and so that can cause some real strain on a family's resources. And so I think this is a great way for us to help with that situation. All right, we'll go to Commissioner Activity Reports. Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you. In addition to various events last week that I think we all attended together, I'll just highlight a couple that I think kind of build on what our county manager said. And one is I had the privilege to volunteer at the food bank for Larimer County. Last Tuesday, they had something called Feeding Colorado Day of Action, and I was there with two state representatives, Andrew Basenecker and Yarazokai, as well as our state senator, Kathy Kipp, and we were helping to, they have quite a system, but basically we were helping to hand out, based on the number of people in the household, et cetera, basically handing out food. Rep. Basenecker and I were staffing the freezers, and we would be handing out different kinds of protein, whether it was chicken or ground beef, and actually they actually had Impossible burgers too for us vegetarian vegans, and there was actually at least a couple of people that benefited. And they were also taking into consideration cultural diets and people who might be Muslim and not, eat meat. And so they had some fish product and all of that. So that was a wonderful experience that I wish to share. Afterwards, it was about an hour and a half shift. Then we sat down in the conference room with the CEO and had a debrief about some of the issues that the food bank is facing in light of the bit of a roller coaster ride in November this month regarding the SNAP food assistance and providing food assistance to folks who need that help. The other things I would mention very quickly, and that is I did also attend as the commissioner liaison to the Housing Catalyst Board meeting on Thursday, November 20th. And one of the big topics there, besides the normal things that we talk about, is a recent notice from the federal government regarding what's called continuum of care funding and what the implications may be for one type of housing, permanent supportive housing, that has been widely accepted as a best practice to helping people stabilize and receive services, wraparound services that may be at risk, and so there's a lot of changes that need to happen there. Also, and Commissioner Stevens can speak to this, but it was fun to attend the Larimer County 101 graduation on also that day on Thursday. And I suppose the last thing I'll mention is went up to Red Feather Lakes Friday, which is not our typical time, and I was accompanied by our budget team leader, Matthew Bahanin, and he did a really awesome job of explaining about the county budget and doing it in a way that I think was engaging and of interest to people. So we had about a dozen or so people present, including a new person who wanted to sign up for the email list. This person heard about the community conversation via the Red Feather Lakes, Next Door Neighbor platform. So that's a little bit of what I did, plus some of the stuff we all did together.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll start with attending and speaking at the Larimer County 101 on Saturday the 15th. We got to do a mock admin matters meeting, and I sat for most of the day, and I came back for graduation for that group later in the afternoon. It was in Loveland. That was a really great group of folks, and very exciting to hear all their questions. One of them that was in that group used to work for the National Association of Counties in Washington, D.C., so we had some very informed and thought-provoking questions. Certainly, he has different experiences with counties on more of the East Coast, and very interested in what, kind of like what's the supervisor versus commissioner, and so that was an interesting conversation to have with him. And well done to Adri and Michelle, and I think Jordan had come back from California, and so it was great to have everyone there and participating, and I really enjoyed their questions. On Monday, we had the meeting with the Opioid Abatement Advisory Council for the Regional Opioid Abatement Council. We're working on a charter so that there will be more of the administrative cost for the ROAC Region 2 instead of being always going for a grant portion of that funding, so that we can work on fine-tuning some data and analysis and rubrics for the council to use to going forward to help evaluate grantees and metrics. And we, as we got that money, we came out the door trying to get money out, because Larimer County was very fortunate to already have partnerships and programs in place with the Behavioral Health Center. And so now we're kind of making sure some of these metrics, especially for some of the work that we put on for housing vouchers and stuff and such, are working, and that since these funds will start to decrease now going forward, we have kind of that need for making sure we stretch those dollars and make sure they are doing the most good for the most people. And I'm really proud of that work. We're doing that with the Butler Institute from the University of Denver, and so it's helping form that work, and it's really a great opportunity. We had our the governor appointed me to the Forest Health Council, and we're having our Leveraging Resources Committee. There's some folks coming from the Forest Health Council to talk about, there is a guide for smaller counties and counties that don't have a lot of resources, and how to start with wildfire mitigation. And it's a pre-wildfire planning playbook. And that's going to be kind of shared at CCI a little bit. Some of them are coming to the Western region, and others to help folks understand, and also start to talk about our 2025 vision for the 30-year vision for the Colorado Forest, which is going to be probably, some more conversations about some of the things that are coming on the horizon that will probably increase the urgency for some work. On Tuesday, as you all know, I flew out to Washington, D.C. with the National Association of Counties. We did a fly-in for rural issues. And the reason I was really sad to miss the rodeo board and appreciation there. I want to thank Madam Chair for reading my statement. That meant a lot to me, and I want to thank you for doing that. But I'm on the Rural Action Caucus, which I continue to do because I feel like we're a mid-sized county, but we have so much public lands and public areas that I feel like we're kind of a unique unicorn, and NACO certainly recognizes that as such. And I think that counties that are associated with counties are really essential partners in building a stronger rural America and rural areas. And really, when you think about rural areas in our county and across this country, it's 20% of the nation's population, but more than 70% of its land. I want to kind of reinforce that, 70% of its land. And in these communities, county governments are the connective tissue that holds real life together, delivering essential services, maintaining local infrastructure and local economies. And when I talk about those things, also I think about this is how, counties are the ones that are feeding our country, watersheds, and also agricultural and also where we recreate. So really important folks and important areas in our area. And as we know, there are lean staffs and tight budgets, and really they're not expertise in some of the essential expertise and resources in some of these rural areas. And so one of the focuses, and there's a lot of poverty and barriers to access and and getting match restrictions for getting grants and capacity gaps, and really there's an inconsistent definitions of rural definitions, which complicates eligibility dates and consistency across the whole infrastructure of the federal government. And so we were talking about how we need to address some of this and we met with the U.S. Department of Agricultural Development group and also the USDA with a lot of the deputy director came and talked to us, but we were pushing for, helping fund USDA rural development programs and making that a little bit more flexible and making sure there are rural specific set asides in existing programs, and really talking about long-term funding boosts through the federal farm bill and other vehicles to really, we only got a 1-year extension, but that farm bill has been held up and there's a lot of things in there really important. We want to simplify access to resources for rural communities by streamlining applications, reporting and match requirements, and making sure federal funds meet the communities with the greatest needs and not just those with the most administrative capacity, which I think is really important for some of those communities. And then also invest in rural capacity building, supporting rural partnerships, the Prosperity Act, which is HR 6041, and bipartisan legislation to provide flexible funding and technical support for local governments and partners. And I think we have also seen that with trying to apply for certain grants. They're all a little bit different when some of the flexibility is not there. And to strengthen our USDA rural development and field-based delivery models, it's really important to kind of talk about that and give those stories. And so that was the theme of telling stories. And so some of the things that, and there's a Rural Partnership and Prosperity Act, HR 6041, which I think is really important. And it's got technical assistance grants and others. So we're asking folks to co-sponsor and work on that. Congressman Neguse is very active in that. And so I thanked him for that. I met with him one-on-one. Also, there's the Secure Rural Schools Act, which is really important for our rural schools and for those folks that live in those areas. We were also pushing on FEMA funding and importance for public lands, and then talking about defense funding for rural health programs, as we know how many hospitals have closed since 2005, almost 200. And 4 out of 5 counties have at least one ambulance desert, which I think we see that in some of the corners of our county. And then, of course, talking about over 70% of Americans' counties out of the 3,069 have populations less than 50,000. And so just trying to be an advocate for that. And we have some rural areas in our county which have lower populations. We also talked about behavioral health when Pew Charitable Trust came and presented some of the research that I had been involved with a couple of years ago that they had us out for. And then also about rural EMS, which was, we had some really powerful stories even from the southern part of the county. When you don't have ambulance services, it really can change outcomes for folks in emergencies. So that was really important, and I just think it was really relevant. It was one of the more impactful. I met with Senator Bennett one-on-one and in groups. We met with representatives from Wyoming and California, and in a bipartisan manner. It was very, very impactful, and people really listening. I wanted to share real quick. We also were talking about renewable energy and farm country and pushing for agrovoltaics and other things, which we are doing a lot here in Larimer County. And also, I wanted to share that our county was highlighted again in the Economic Trends in Public Lands Counties, a split story, which is the 2025 publication from NACO, and we were recognized out of 8 counties where we were continuing educating community on rural disaster response, and we're featured along with Summit County for their workforce housing on federal lands. And that was really exciting to see us highlighted. And some really interesting things also, colleagues, they're talking about the counties like ours that have a lot of public lands and rely on public PILT money, property taxes in lieu of a payment in lieu of taxes, property taxes. States with a quarter more public lands face multiple state-imposed property caps. And so we are in the category of 3 and more property tax limits, and that is certainly a discussion that was had, and I think that's really relevant for our county. So I wanted to share that. And then it just was really, really thoughtful in talking about EMS and the needs in rural hospitals and critical access hospitals. So, thinking about Estes Park and some of those changes and how important that is. So, thank you for colleagues for letting me share about that. I think it was really relevant and important for a lot of our county, and of course, talking about agricultural lands. I shared about Marisol and our efforts for that. We used a quote from there from the American Farmland Trust, I believe. Well, they came to present, and so I just happened to have the flyer and some of the information from that, and shared how we had quoted them. They had done a whole presentation, and they were really thrilled to hear that we had used that and how we had that movie viewing, and so I got a chance to share about that, and people came over and took pictures of our efforts and how we sponsored that, and had a lot of questions. So I was able to highlight the work that we did there. Very excited about that. And then we had our NOCO Places 50 meeting on Friday, and that was really exciting. Lots of work there. We have a new executive director, as you know. The 22nd on Saturday, I went to volunteer at Kids Pack along with some other volunteers. Kind of a record for me. The need, of course, in Kids Pack has risen quite a lot with the SNAP freeze and increase in need, and so we packed almost 1,200 bags on Saturday, which is a record for me. I'm used to, when I first started with them, about 300 and some bags, and then the last few years it's been 550 to 600, and now they're at 600 and up to 850, and so it's definitely a need. Lots of volunteers, lots of great energy, and just a really dedicated group of folks there. I think they have a paid part-time executive director, but that organization's run on the heart and soul of volunteers. And then went up to Estes Park for the Estes Park tree lighting and leveling on Sunday night. That was very exciting, and appreciate Mayor's Hall's hospitality. And as you know, because of my meetings last week in DC, I got a late text on Friday night that the senator did want to drive by and see the Behavioral Health Center on Sunday. And by the time we all that organized, or didn't know till Saturday afternoon all the details. And so he came with some of his staff and Summit Stone Health Partners, along with Mayor Estes of Estes, who's on the Policy Council and hadn't had a chance to see inside. We went and toured the youth area. Lots of great questions. He was very impressed with what we've done and the work that we've done, partnership and collaborating. And I want to thank Amy Martonis, Laura Walker, Lorenda, and Summit Stone, Cindy Dodds, John McCabe, Ryan McFerrins, and Carolyn Reed, all of them that shuffled very quickly and pivoted so we could all be there with information. And it was, we really made an impact. It was an impactful visit. And I just wanted to share that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just share a couple things. As Commissioner Caval said, we had the rodeo and fair and rodeo board appreciation dinner. Also included a lot of the superintendents from the fair, and so really grateful that we were able to thank all the people that worked so hard. And some of these people are on our hardest working boards, so we were they are there all the time during the fair. They're planning all the events for the fair. They're gathering the volunteers, and so really great to celebrate those folks. We did have the LC 101 boards and commission that Commissioner Kafalis came to the graduation. I was able to talk to the LC 101 participants about boards and commissions, and there was a lot of curiosity, so hopefully we'll get some applications from that. On Friday, we had the Middle Income Housing Authority meeting. We're doing a lot of initially, the Middle Income Housing Authority was to be the biggest owner in these Middle Income Housing Authority projects, and there wasn't to be necessarily so much of a private participation in it. They were to be owned by the state board, but we are doing a lot of special limited partnerships, which allow builders of middle income housing to access, some tax exemptions. But they're great projects, and one of them is this Green Valley Ranch project in Denver, which will be on 56th Avenue in North Dunkirk. It is, I had the the data up because it was really interesting. It's over 150 units, and it is all modular built. And the units are coming in at around $200,000 a unit, which is kind of unheard of. A lot of times, multifamily comes in at $300,000 or $500,000 a unit. So to really leverage the great partnership with some of these modular builders that we have, we're getting these units built quicker and cheaper than they were before. And so I think that the work that the governor's done around, making sure that these modular manufacturing companies have not only tax breaks, but some loan ability to borrow and build out their manufacturing facilities has really made these projects just very doable in our communities and made these projects a lot more affordable. So very exciting news on that front. And then just participated with the NACO Resilient Counties Innovation Council. It used to be a big group of people that met. Now we are just a small group of a leadership group that's meeting to talk about resiliency in counties. So some of the work that we talked about this morning is really relevant. We're having a lot of conversations of how do you fund this work? How do you fund emergency services work? How do you fund this work? And there are people from all over the country doing this work, and while everybody's disaster is different, in a way everybody's disaster is similar. They're all trying to find dollars to rebuild, dollars to, how to work with FEMA. And so I think that these are great partnerships and really excited to be part of that board. And that is it for me. I just want to end by saying, as I did last week, that the holidays are not easy for some folks in our community, that while some of us are get to celebrate with families, other people, it can be a time of stress and reliving some difficulties. And so just wanted to remind folks that you can call 988 if you need emergency services or someone to talk to. They will get you the help you need. And then we also have the Longview Behavioral Health Center at 2260 West Trilby Road in Fort Collins. And that is open 24 hours, 7 days a week, and people can get urgent care there as well. So please reach out if you or one of your loved ones needs help during the holidays. And with that, we do not have any more business. So at 10:41, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.